At this point, what you want to do is you want to ensure that this is going to be 90 degrees to your bed rail. You want the two mounting plates to be parallel to each other. So I'm using a digital level. You can use a torpedo level. If you use a torpedo level, you ensure that the truck is level. With the digital level, what's nice about a digital level is I can zero it out. Once it's zeroed out, I can come over here and ensure that this is then 0 or 90 degrees to the bed rail. And it's there. Why you want to do that is because I then need to measure behind here where I am going to be putting the two brackets that help to hold this in place. Also, it increases the stability of the unit of when the mounting plate is in place. So you measure that off. This one is 1 and from the inside to the box to the inside, 1 7/8. If you go back to the manual, it says if the measurement is 1 5/8 or more, use the brackets as in A. If it is less, then you need to do some bending on the brackets, as illustrated in the manual, to bend the brackets. Being that this is 1 7/8, I do not need to bend it. What you want to do is assemble the two brackets together. You're going to assemble them in this fashion, bolt going through obviously the slotted hole that allows the distance to be modified if need be. Put a washer on the back side and a lock nut. Tighten that down. Now you want to ensure that when you tighten this down, that you are going to be tightening this so that the bracket is at the distance that you measured. So you measured 1 7/8 from the inside here. We want to ensure that these brackets from this plate face to this face is 1 7/8. It's exactly 1 7/8. Go ahead and tighten that down. Now, in the manual, we recommend that these bolts are all torqued. All the bolts that we tighten, all torqued to the spec. This is a little torque wrench, can be purchased on Amazon, or you might have one already. But ensure that you're torquing this to the spec. That is torqued to spec. So once that is tightened up, you can go to the next step, which is step 7. What you want to do here is you want to rotate this plate. We're going to then take 1/4 by 3/4 inch bolts. And you're going to mount those in the slots. Just lay them in the slots. Generally, push them right down to the bottom. We're going to put a little bit of masking tape on the back side of those, because when we flip this plate back, we want those bolts to stay in place, temporarily stay in place. So just tape the head to the plate. Step 8 requires that you mount the stabilization brackets to your mounting plate. So if we remembered right, we were going to put it approximately here. So we can rotate this back just to make a double sure, test everything is right. Everything's fitting right, nothing's in the way. Keep that location in mind. If you want, you can put a little piece of tape on this side to ensure that it's going back in the same place. Okay, so now you're going to clean the area where you're going to mount the stabilization bracket. Get it on the back side, make sure it's clean. 3M primer, again, you break it. Ensure that it's coming down to the applicator end and rub it Do the same to the back side of your bracket of your box. Clean this area here. Go ahead and use your primer. So remove the backer. Up the utilization bracket to that. Press and hold firmly. Rotate it again, just ensuring that everything is good before we remove the backer on the other side. We're happy with that. We can again go again, backer on this one. Pressing firmly against the box and ensuring that it's in place. So now we're going to work on the cam locks. This is going to go in behind the mounting plate. Now, yeah, as you can see, there's an arrow. Very important that we assemble this properly. Is as this turns, it cams up against the back or the top of the or the bottom of the bed rail, cams up, locks it in place, and then it pinches the lip together. So ensure that you follow the manual so that you install the bolt correctly. So as you can see, the manual has the arrow with some tape and the bolt. Put the bolt in. Put some tape over the head. Do that to both of them. So the arrow is pointing to my left. Bolt goes in that way. Tape over top of the bolt head. Tape it together like that. That's just to ensure that the bolt doesn't fall out while you're installing it. So if we go to the mounting bracket, you have 3 holes that you can choose. Ideally, you want to choose the hole to the furthest. In this area, you can see that because of this indentation in behind on the box, I won't be able to install it in behind. I won't be able to install it in this one. I have to then use this hole, which is fine. On this one, I will be using the far hole. So on these, you will see you'll be supplied. These were the 1/4 by 3/4 inch long. These are the 1/4 by half. On the 1/4 by 3/4, we will be using the full lock nut. On the 1/2 by 1/4, basically on these, we'll be using the short lock nut. So just go in behind. Now keep in mind, when you start turning this nut, it's going to force this cam to rotate. And that is what you want. You want it to rotate in behind so that it locks everything in place. Go ahead, turn that on there. That. Same with this one. Now you're going to have to reach in behind. Slide it in. Sure the arrow is to the top. Finger tight. Now again, we recommend or we require use the torque wrench. Go ahead and torque those. At this point, the mounting plate is completely fastened in place. It's not going anywhere. You can go ahead and remove all of the masking tape. It's no longer required. And it is now ready to install the driver's side lifting assembly.